As a farmer, we get up one morning and you give Argentina, which is our second biggest competition in the world. They're the largest exporters of soybean meal in the world. And you give $20 billion of taxpayer money to my competition. So that makes the Argentinian soybeans about $12.42 a bushel. So all my premium, they all went to Argentina.
How are your other farmers, for your friends, feeling? I know a lot of them are Trump supporters. Do they still feel good?
Everybody's pretty nervous. Everybody's pretty scared. Everybody's scared to death. Last year we sent around $12 billion, I think $14 billion worth of soybeans the year before. For the first time in 20 years, China's bought zero soybeans and zero new crop corn out of this country.
MAGA farmers seem to be facing a pressing reality. The policies they once supported and their trust in political decisions now appear to be directly reflecting on their livelihoods. Have you ever imagined that a decision from Washington combined with a reaction from Beijing could cause soybean prices to plummet, put families under financial strain, and even jeopardize the future of farming for the next generation? Let's take a closer look at what is truly happening to MAGA farmers, and whether the story might reveal something about the nature of the policies they once trusted.
Okay, am I understanding this correctly? China used to buy over 60% of soybeans from American farmers. And then Trump said, yeah, we're going to put 100% tariffs on those, China. And China was like, whatever, we're going to go over here to Argentina and buy soybeans from Argentina. And Argentina's like, oh, hell yeah, come on, China. Buy as much soybeans as you want from us. We got you. Meanwhile, because of that, farmers are losing money, they're losing their farms, they're committing suicide. It's really bad. American farmers are suffering really bad right now, which in turn, American people are suffering. So then Argentina says, oh shit, we're kind of struggling. We don't have a lot of money to make this happen. And so Trump's administration says, yeah, you know what? We do have billions of dollars of taxpayer money sitting here. Let us give you billions of dollars to grow your soybeans to sell to China. Woo! Woohoo! Woo! Eeh. Make America great again. By the way, if you want all the finer details of who's involved in all that decision making and why that's happening, go to Kelly of Indiana, go to her TikTok page, and she'll tell you all the names involved. Woo! Have a great day, Americans, while you keep getting harder up yes because of this current administration.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Sume here, just in case you're seeing me for the very first time. Thank you so much for tapping on this video and deciding to watch it. It honestly means a lot to me and to all my returning subscribers. You guys, thank you so much for the love and support. And to the person called Letitia, thank you so much for subscribing on the membership of this channel. And to others, if you're really interested and maybe you're looking at supporting my work on here, you can go on and look at subscribing to the membership of this channel. I have only 3 levels: silver, bronze, and gold. You can go check them out. And as we continue to enjoy today's episode, I think apparently American farmers are in tears right now, and for the fact that most of these farmers actually voted for Donald Trump, it is so sad that the person they voted for, he can't actually help them out. Farmers are in tears. Others, I think, have just fainted. I don't know. Let's continue watching these clips, guys, and let me know what you think down in the commentary.
Newsmax brought a farmer on to praise Donald Trump's bailout plan. Instead, he tore Donald Trump apart. Now, as you know, right now, Donald Trump's tariffs are destroying farmers. China has not bought a single soybean this quarter, and they're our largest export market. And farmers are hurting, and Donald Trump has a plan to send them some of the tariff money. Well, Newsmax brought a farmer on to praise those tariffs, but it went a little differently than planned.
I'm paying that tariff because my importer, John Deere, paid it. They paid it directly to the Treasury. Now the President of the United States is going to take my money and give it back to me and call it a bailout? That's just comical.
Yeah. They're going to take my money. My inputs have been raised. I'm paying these tariffs. You're giving me my money back and you want me to thank you? Newsmax tried to get praise for Dear Leader. Instead, it backfired beautifully. And that is well done by this farmer. Donald Trump is doing nothing to help them, only hurt them, and even they are calling it out.
I thought I understood what was going on in Argentina, and I did a video. But then as I'm learning more this morning, I'm realizing it's even worse than I thought it was. And so you all need to know what's going on. So you might already be aware of the fact that because of President Trump's tariff policies, our American farmers are suffering. Right now, China used to buy 60% of our soybeans. But because of the tariff policies, China's like, screw you, we're going to get our soybeans somewhere else. So they went to the Argentinian government and said, can we buy soybeans from you? And Argentina said, absolutely. Why not? Buy all the soybeans you want. The only problem is the Argentinian government is in trouble. They need help. They've been needing help for quite some time. So what happened, little sidebar here, is an American billionaire decided he was going to jump into the mix with his company, which is called Discovery Capital. His name is Rob Citron, and he was going to buy up the Argentinian debt because he knew that Argentina was going to be A-OK in no time, and he was going to make billions of dollars. But you know what happened is the Argentinian government wasn't rebounding like he thought it was, so he went to his best friend, Scott Bessent, who is the Secretary of Treasury, which means he has the keys to all of our tax dollars. And he said, I need money. And Scott Bessent said, let's get $20 billion from the IMF. So they did. It came in the form of an aid package. But you know what? Wasn't enough money. Argentina is still in trouble. If the Argentinian government's in trouble, guess what they can't do? They can't produce the soybeans that they need to sell to China. And that means that the government's going to go down, and then Rob Citron's going to lose all his money. So he went back to his buddy, the guy with the keys to our treasury, and he said, I need more money. Will you help me? And the guy with the keys to our tax dollars said, I got you, bud. We don't have to go back to the IMF. I'll just give you American taxpayer dollars. I've got all this money sitting here. Why don't I help you? And so he sent and has authorized to send $20 billion of my money and your money to the Argentinian government to bail them out, because that does two things. Number one, it makes sure that Rob Citron's money is safe. And 2 weeks before he made that announcement, you know what happened? Rob Citron went and bought a whole bunch more Argentinian debt because he had insider information to know that Argentina is going to come into a whole bunch of money and be able to make those debts good. But you want to know what else that means? That means that the Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, took my tax dollars and your tax dollars and sent them to Argentina to make sure that the Argentinian farms could produce enough soybeans to give China what they needed. And what's happening here? Our tax dollars are gone, and the American farmers continue to suffer. That's the truth. Come on, guys. Let's elect people to power who actually give a damn, and people in power who are not beholden to corrupt governments and billionaires. Let's go.
American farmers have destroyed themselves by voting for this Trump regime. Their hate for so many groups of people that they have learned to demonize allowed them to vote themselves out of business by voting for Donald Trump and today's MAGA Republicans. I don't know what else to say. We already know how the American soybean farmer was decimated this fall. China, their biggest customer, placed exactly 0 orders for soybeans from American farmers because of Donald Trump's regime's tariffs. They went to Brazil. We all saw the videos of the farmers crying in Arkansas, I believe it was. Please, Mr. President, we love you, but come save us. Oh, you guys, it just gets so much worse. So you know how our $20 billion in taxes, yours, Mr. Farmer, and mine, was just snatched from us and given to the leader of Argentina to help keep their version of Donald Trump in power? Your $20 billion and my $20 billion? This was screenshot on our Department of Treasury's cell phone from our Department of Agriculture. Ready? Finally, just a heads up, I'm getting more intel, but this is highly unfortunate, the text said. We bailed out Argentina yesterday, and in return, the Argentines are removing their export tariffs on grains, reducing their price, and sold a bunch of soybeans to China at a time when we would normally be selling to China. Soy prices are dropping further because of it. This gives China more leverage on us. And he responds, Besant responds, on a plane, Scott, but I'll call you when I land. You guys voted for this. The Democrats, who y'all hate so much, you've been programmed to hate your fellow neighbor, your family members. You guys voted for this. We warned all of you because we're not in a cult. We could see how these decisions affect businesses, affect our farmers. We were fighting for farmers, telling you don't vote for this, and you voted for this. Your tax dollars, this Trump administration just used to fuck you even further. Mr. Soybean farmer and grains. This affects a lot of other farmers, not just soybean farmers. Anybody who harvests and sells grains to China. Here you go.
Trump says he's going to confront China over their refusal to buy our soybeans. Kelly Saberi is at a soybean farm in Illinois. Okay, Kelly, why won't China buy our beans?
Well, Stu, this is direct retaliation for the trade war between our two countries. China knows that American farmers are now losing their biggest customer. I mean, take a look at this. We know that China buys, from government data alone, more than half of all U.S. soybean exports last year, with $12 billion worth of soybeans sold to them. Now, according to the American Soybean Association, we know that China in the last 5 years has bought more soybeans than any other country combined. Now, 95% of their soybean purchases come from South America.
For the first time in 20 years, China's bought 0 soybeans and 0 new crop corn out of this country.
Zero?
So we went from 12 billion to 0.
Where are they buying the soybeans?
Argentina is selling all of their soybeans to China now because of the tariffs that Trump has initiated against other countries. And it's not that Trump has initiated tariffs on soybeans to China or anything like that. It's just China's like, we don't need you. So there it is. $47 billion that would have gone to the 500,000 American soybean farmers are now going to Argentina. Now, American farmers, almost 80% of them voted for Trump. So if you have 500,000 soybean farmers, that means 400,000 of them who are now on the verge of going bankrupt.
This is awful discouraging. You know, we do our very best to grow a good crop to feed the world, and then we can't hardly give it away.
Many growers say they feel betrayed. Last week, the Trump administration gave Argentina a financial lifeline, a $20 billion loan. But Argentina then cut the price of its own soy exports to China, undercutting U.S. farmers. With prices for crops crashing, farmers are doing everything they can to stay viable, even selling off equipment.
Oh no, I'm getting what I voted for. And as you just saw in that clip, soybean farmers are upset at Orange Man because he gave $20 billion to the country of Argentina to help them out, which in my opinion sounds very America first, insert sarcasm. Argentina said, don't cry for me and thank you for the $20 billion. Got rid of tariffs for China and sold them soybeans. And let's see what these farmers are doing to try to survive the situation that they voted for. Wait a minute, wasn't it you guys that were chanting the slogan, short-term pain for long-term gains?
Because America's largest and most valuable export to China, do you know what it is? Soybeans. Well, they have crashed to zero because of President Trump's trade war. Farmers are feeling the pain big time, and the Trump administration could announce a more than $10 billion bailout this week. But farmers tell Janet Shamlian their problems are much bigger than that.
It's harvest season in America's heartland.
Is this the prime harvest time in southern Illinois?
Yes, it is right now.
But for soybean farmers like Scott Gaffner, it's a season of worry. Soybeans are the nation's largest agricultural export. But as the trade war drags on, China, America's biggest buyer, hasn't purchased any this year.
We can't help but feel very anxious of wondering why it's taking so long to get this resolved.
Are you angry?
The farther we go into this season, the more we're going to lose. And China should have been buying our beans already, and they're not. It's like crickets.
So he's storing what he's producing, hoping the market will turn.
So we're going to lose probably about $2 a bushel this year.
And how much does that mean overall?
That means a lot. It means we can't sustain that kind of loss for a very long of a time period without going under.
And it's not the first time this has happened. Soybean farmers were hammered during President Trump's first trade war with China in 2018. Now the administration is promising them another bailout.
We don't want the aid, we want the trade.
Gaffner says one-time relief is not a long-term solution.
If China starts buying elsewhere, which they are doing now, once they establish those trade routes, it becomes more difficult for them to come back to the U.S. to buy their commodities. Once we lose that, we may never get it back again. And that's huge for next generations.
Including for his son Cody, who would be the fourth generation to farm the land.
If I do come back, I do have to have a second job to supplement that, because there's no way currently with the tariffs in place that we can survive with that.
For Scott Gaffner, it's about more than his bottom line.
We're just not stimulating our own sales, we're stimulating the economy in our area. That economy relies upon us as farmers to keep that economy going. And so it impacts everybody.
I've said it before, but it's worth saying louder this time. Trump's most loyal supporters, America's farmers, are getting stabbed in the back in broad daylight. And the latest insult isn't just a paper cut, it's a gut punch. While U.S. farmers are drowning in mountains of unsold soybeans, Trump is opening the floodgates for Argentina to dump cheap exports into the very markets American growers just lost. Call it poetic justice, call it FAFO, but the betrayal couldn't be clearer.
Argentina and Brazil, down in South America, they're our biggest competitor in soybeans and corn. Sometimes they'll raise 2 or 3 crops of corn. They always raise a big soybean crop. But Argentina is a huge competitor for the United States. We just sent them $20 billion. All the while, they're sending tax-free China 84 million bushels of soybeans. That's 30 cargo ships worth in 2 days' time.
We are being forced to bail out another country's farmers at the expense of our own.
That don't make much sense. That's kind of like wiping before you poop. Why would you help out your biggest competition and hurt yourself with your biggest customer?
I have been an Arkansas soybean farmer my entire life until this year, when a deepening farm crisis forced my family to close a 150-year-old operation, and we weren't alone. And now this is coming for even more of us.
It's going to be tough to get some of that business back that we're losing. Retaliatory tariffs has caused us to be less competitive in the global marketplace.
I thought you guys didn't want the United States to give money to Ukraine because that's not our war. You guys were okay with the U.S. giving money to Israel so that they can commit it. But what's going on now? Do we have to bail out Argentina, a country that has absolutely nothing to do with us? Is Donald Trump putting America first when he's gonna give up to $20 billion to Argentina? Donald Trump is defunding programs that Americans need, but there is money to send to Argentina? Did I get that right? Is that America first? I'm a little confused.
Soybeans may not sound glamorous, but they're the beating heart of U.S. agriculture. Nearly $25 billion in exports last year, with China alone buying over half, about $12.6 billion. That cash flow is what keeps the heartland alive, from Illinois silos to Iowa fields to Nebraska's small towns. And then came Trump's trade war tantrums. Overnight, America's largest customer, China, didn't just cut back, didn't just slow down. They slammed the door shut.
Well, folks, there's a storm brewing in soybeans. China just bought a big batch from Argentina, not from the USA. And let me tell you, tariffs we slapped on years ago and during this new administration are the reason why. Here's what happened, according to Reuters. Argentina suspended export taxes, making their soybeans cheaper on the international market. And China swooped in and booked at least 10 cargoes, each around 65,000 tons. Meanwhile, not a single cargo from the brand new American harvest. We got cut out of the deal completely. Now, this isn't just about Argentina dropping taxes. This story starts years ago and continues through this new Trump administration with the U.S.-China trade war. When America slapped tariffs on Chinese goods, Beijing hit back with retaliatory tariffs on U.S. soybeans. This made our beans more expensive for Chinese buyers. Now, here's the thing. Once China got burned, they learned not to rely so heavily on American soy. They started building long-term supply from South America, Brazil first, and now Argentina. So every time tariffs went up, U.S. farmers paid the price, not the folks in Washington, D.C. We lost trust and we lost market share. So now, with Argentina's beans cheaper, China doesn't even look at us. That means less demand for American soybeans. Less demand means lower prices. For farmers already fighting high fuel and fertilizer costs, this isn't just a headache, it's the difference between profit and loss. And this isn't a one-off. If China keeps buying from Argentina, it cements a pattern. America gets sidelined while South America gets stronger. And markets don't forgive lost trust. Once a buyer moves on, they don't always come back. That's the real danger of these tariffs wars. You win the headline fight, but you lose the customer forever. Tariffs sound tough in D.C., but out here where we raise these crops, they land like a hammer. Farmers didn't pick the trade fight with China, but they've been paying for it every harvest. We produce the best beans in the world, but when tariffs make our crop more expensive, China shops elsewhere. And now, Argentina, with this tax break, slips right in. So what's the fix? We need smarter trade deals, not headline tariff wars. We need long-term partnerships with buyers, not quick political stunts. And we need to keep American farmers competitive by making sure we're not priced out with our own policies. Folks, these tariffs were sold as tough talk, but in the end, they opened the door for Argentina and Brazil to take our markets. And that's bad news for every American. If you care about keeping American farms alive, if you care about protecting the U.S. food supply and keeping food inexpensive for Americans, share this video with your neighbors and tell them these trade wars are costing us. And it's not just the farmers in rural America that are paying the price. Pretty soon, it's going to be all of us.
Meanwhile, American farmers stare at silos bursting with unsold beans and prices that have collapsed to 5-year lows. If Trump were trying to bankrupt Illinois farmers on purpose, what would he be doing differently? And here's where the FAFO energy really kicks in. These are the same farmers who cheered when Trump promised to deport immigrant workers and slap tariffs on foreign goods. Now, their fields are empty of labor, their markets are gone, and their bills are piling up. It's like watching someone set their own barn on fire because the arsonist told them it would keep them warm. Spoiler, it didn't. The fallout isn't abstract. American Soybean Association President Caleb Ragland called the situation overwhelming. Harvest is underway, prices are falling, and instead of seeing headlines about trade deals, farmers are reading about Trump pumping billions into Argentina while their own product rots.
Hey MAGA, you remember all that winning you were supposed to do under Donald Trump? And now with all the tariffs and his crappy economic policies, you guys are losing your health care, losing your Social Security, losing your benefits, losing your jobs. Well, now you're losing your farms. And the people in Arkansas can tell you, they can't even break even, and most of them are going out of business. They're not being farmers anymore. But instead of a bailout, Trump is like, oh, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Because he and J.D. Vance actually have stock in companies that are buying up that lost farmland when farmers go broke. But you know how you guys always love to claim that Trump loves the farmers and he loves you guys so much, even though in public at rallies he has literally stated to your face that he doesn't care about you? Well, let me tell you something. The biggest crop that we export is soybeans. And now that China's not really buying our soybeans anymore because Trump jacked up tariffs on them, China's now buying them from Argentina, who has since dropped their tariffs on them. So now farmers across the country are being left holding the bag of soybeans that are practically worthless. This is going to have another massive effect on our GDP, by the way. And as all these farmers continue to go bankrupt because of these tariffs that you guys think are going to make you all millionaires, China just found a way to go around us and give us the middle finger. And apparently MAGA stands for Make Argentina Great Again. Meanwhile, our economy's going down the toilet. And you guys have a massive problem with conservatives attacking and shooting your own conservatives. Let me know when you guys are done with the charade and the whole cult because this is really fucking embarrassing.
Donald Trump was quoted saying it is an honor for him to help make Argentina great again. Let's talk about a few things that $20 billion could do for United States citizens. It could cover healthcare for 3.3 million American families. It could erase medical debt for over 20 million Americans. It could fund mental health and addiction clinics all across the United States for over a decade. It could build over 100,000 affordable housing units. It could provide emergency shelter for over a year for every single homeless American. It could fund community college for over 2.5 million students. It could cancel all federal loan student debt. It could increase the salary of every single teacher in the United States of America by $5,000 a year. It could provide $1,000 extra in grocery benefits for every single low-income family in the United States of America. It could fund health care and housing for over 1 million veterans. Or it could provide free daycare for 1.5 million families. So much for America First.
Even Republican Senator Chuck Grassley couldn't spin it, blasting the move with a blunt question. Why would USA help bail out Argentina while they take American soybean producers' biggest market? When Chuck Grassley, who once defended tweeting from a flip phone, is dragging Trump's trade policy, you know something's broken. And the cruelty here isn't just economic, it's cultural. For decades, soybean farmers were told they were America's backbone, the salt of the earth, the true patriots. Trump sold them that myth, then ripped it up the second it suited him.
Trump's illegal tariffs have single-handedly destroyed the U.S. soybean market. As of yesterday, the price of soybeans is about $9.34 here in Iowa. The cost of production is anywhere from $11 to $11.50. So per bushel of soybeans, it's about a $2 loss. And when you add the fact that it's about 50 bushels in an acre of soybeans here, you can do the math to see how bad things are.
He doesn't see farmers. He sees numbers on a balance sheet, pawns in a tariff war he can't win, and voters too loyal to notice he's selling them out in real time. The irony? Argentina and Brazil harvest their soybeans months before American farmers do. So by the time U.S. crops are ready, the Chinese market is already stocked. American farmers aren't just losing a season, they're losing a permanent customer base. Once you're replaced in a global supply chain, it's a game over. And yet, the betrayal goes deeper.
Historically, 60% of Iowa soybeans have gone to China. With Trump's trade wars from his first administration, the U.S. has become an unreliable supplier. So instead of these soybeans going to China, it's soybeans from South America, like places like Brazil and Argentina. That leads to more grains going to be left in the bin, which means to oversupply, which means to lower prices. So here's what we need to do. We need to demand trade, not aid. Farmers don't want a bailout, they want markets. The second thing we need to do is push for competition, both on the market side and especially on the input side with seed and fertilizer costs.
Here's the bitter truth. Soybeans made up nearly 20% of America's cash crop receipts last year. Without exports to China, that number craters. Futures markets are tanking, farmers are drowning in debt, and the so-called bailouts to U.S. farmers are nothing but band-aids on a gaping wound. Meanwhile, Argentina and Brazil are locking down long-term contracts with China that will keep American soybeans out of the game for years. So, let's call it what it is. Betrayal. Trump promised farmers prosperity. What he delivered was bankruptcy, broken supply chains, and foreign competition financed by American dollars. The Heartland thought they were voting for a champion. What they got was a con man who bankrupted casinos, now bankrupting them.
So I posted this weekend about this incredible bailout that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced, where he's sending $20 billion down to Argentina because the chainsaw-wielding, leather jacket libertarian down there, Javier Milei, drove their economy into the ground by trying to do a Doge-like situation there. Now, Bessent is a former hedge fund guy. Bunch of hedge funders in the United States went long on Argentine debt, like they thought, oh, this is going to work great. We're going to take a chainsaw to Argentina and the economy is going to recover. Instead, the economy nosedived. So now Bessent is bailing out these hedge fund guys. Now, who he also is bailing out is China, because Argentina was able to use the $20 billion we sent to cut prices for soybeans that they're selling to China. And China is trying not to buy them from us because Trump started a trade war with China. Now, so that's the backstory I told over the weekend. Now, today, you have an incredible photo taken by a photographer at the Treasury Department of the White House, snapping Scott Bessent's phone. On Scott Bessent's phone is a text message from Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins to Bessent and one other person. It looks like JG are the initials. I can't quite tell who the second person is. If anybody has any guesses, you can put them in the comments. But if it's difficult to read, here's what the text message to her says. She says, I'm getting more intel, but this is highly unfortunate. We bailed out Argentina yesterday, parentheses Besant, and in return, the Argentines removed their export tariffs on grains, reducing their price, and sold a bunch of soybeans to China at a time when we would normally be selling to China. Soy prices dropping further because of it. This gives China more leverage on us. So there's Trump's agriculture secretary basically sounding like me.
And here's the part that should keep every farmer awake at night. This isn't just a temporary market hiccup. This is structural. Once China finds a cheaper, steadier partner like Argentina or Brazil, they don't just flip back when it's convenient for us. Trade relationships are like marriages. When the trust is broken, the partner who left doesn't usually come crawling back. They move on. And in this case, they're moving on with billions of dollars worth of contracts that should have gone to American farmers but are now securing long-term deals with our competitors. Trump didn't just fumble the bag. He gift-wrapped it and handed it to Buenos Aires and Sao Paulo. But it's not just about soybeans. It's about what soybeans represent. Agriculture is the one thing America has always done better than almost anyone else. The vast land, the technology, the know-how. This was our ace card. When manufacturing jobs left, when coal mines closed, we could always point to the heartland and say, at least we feed the world. Now, even that claim is crumbling. Under Trump, the U.S. isn't the breadbasket of the world anymore. It's the guy at the poker table watching his chips slide over to the competition while pretending he's still winning.
North Dakota farmers are in a bit of a crisis right now, and it seems like people outside of the state are paying attention, so I think it's time that we talk about it. North Dakota soybeans naturally go to the elevator at harvest. Some are stored, but not many. However, this year, we have no sales to China. Zero. Zilch. Goose egg. And we rely a lot on P&W exports. Because we don't really have an export program, we don't have a good basis. Our typical basis around harvest is like 75 under. Right now we are between $1.15 and $1.50 under. And some places are just contract only, which means they won't take any soybeans that aren't contracted, and some of them won't take any new contracts either. That means that when we're harvesting soybeans, we're going to put them in a bin. Bins are typically used for corn. When we get into corn harvests, we don't got anywhere to go with it. You have to go to the elevator with it. It's going to put more pressure on the corn basis. It's going to put more pressure on the ethanol basis. And we're just going to have ground piles, bags. It's not fun. If you don't have a logistics plan, you're kind of SOL. The problem's real. And I can tell you right now, it's not going to be solved with a government payment.
American soybean farmers, let's have a chat. One farm family to another. Are you aware that Trump is planning to send $20 billion to Argentina to bail them out? All because his buddy is running for re-election. He wants to make sure he gets re-elected. He's bailing them out. Plus, Argentina just made a humongous deal with China and took your biggest soybean market. So now China, they don't need any American soybeans. They get everything they need from Argentina. Plus, Argentina is getting your tax dollars to bail them out. Trump doesn't plan to give you any bailout. He said maybe when the tariffs start paying off, that he'd give you a little something, but I wouldn't hold your breath on that one because we've all figured out by now, right? That's a tax on the consumer. And that's what's killing your farm.
And if you think this is just about dollars and cents, look at the ripple effect. Small-town banks depend on farm loans being repaid. Equipment dealers depend on farmers upgrading their tractors and combines. Rural schools depend on property taxes tied to land values. When soybean prices tank, it's not just the farmer hurting, it's the entire ecosystem around them. Trump isn't just bankrupting individuals, he's hollowing out communities. The very same real America he claimed he was fighting for is being gutted in slow motion. Now, here's where it gets even uglier. While Trump's tariffs choke American farmers, his administration's bailout of Argentina wasn't just random generosity. It's geopolitics, and it's politics at home. Argentina gets cash, cuts export taxes, and suddenly looks like a reliable supplier for China. Meanwhile, Trump gets to brag about fighting socialism in South America and scoring a foreign policy win while his own farmers lose everything. It's the art of the deal, Trump style. Sell out your base, then blame someone else when the checks bounce. And the cruelty goes one step further. Remember how Trump loved to frame himself as the savior of forgotten Americans? Those forgotten Americans are now literally being erased from the market while their supposed champion is financing their rivals. It's one thing to get betrayed by your political enemy. It's another to get gutted by the man you cheered for at every rally, the one you put your hopes and your vote into. That's not just betrayal. That's humiliation. But here's the kicker that few people are talking about. Soybeans aren't just food. They're politics. They're energy. They're international leverage. Soybean oil goes into biodiesel. Soybean meal feeds livestock. And soybean futures are a key barometer for global commodity markets. When America loses control of soybeans, it loses more than farm income. It loses power. It hands over a strategic advantage to countries like Brazil and Argentina, who now get to set the terms of trade with China, the world's biggest buyer. Trump hasn't just betrayed farmers. He's weakened America's hand on the global stage. And don't forget the environmental twist. Part of the reason Argentina was able to flood the market so quickly is because Trump's bailout allowed them to suspend environmental costs, like that 26% export tax. In other words, while American farmers are playing by stricter rules, Argentina gets to cut corners, pollute more, and sell cheaper, with our own government's blessing. Here's where the regret kicks in. You can hear it in farm country if you listen closely. Farmers who once plastered Trump signs on their barns are now whispering doubts at the co-op. They won't say it loud, not yet, because pride is a hell of a drug. But when your harvest rots and your bank account bleeds, even the most loyal MAGA diehard starts asking the forbidden question, did we get played? And maybe that's the cruelest layer of all. Because Trump's betrayal isn't just financial, it's emotional. He sold farmers the dream of respect, of finally being seen and valued. And now, they're watching him hand their future to Argentina and Brazil, laughing all the way to the bank. It's the kind of betrayal that cuts deeper than a balance sheet. It cuts into identity, into pride, into what it means to be the backbone of America. So, what do you think? Is this the beginning of the end for Trump's hold on farm country, or will the heartland keep letting him bankrupt them with a smile? Drop your thoughts in the comments and stick with Trend Feed, because trust me, the next story we've got lined up peels back an even darker layer you won't want to miss.
This video is so long, I have just decided to cut it short. Yeah, for the people who are really interested, I think you can go ahead and search them out and continue enjoying watching them. I have just decided to chop it from here. I don't want to make it very long. I don't want you guys to be bored with my content, you know. So literally what I can say right now, these people did see this coming, you know. Maybe when they were voting, they thought they were going to get benefits as farmers. Maybe they thought they will be able to sell out their crops easily, faster, you know, their harvest will go faster. But here we go. And you know, even what is more sad about this is the fact that the person they voted for, he can't even help. Now, I don't understand when people give excuses of the tariffs. Is it the tariffs that are really bringing in problems with the farmers? Because I thought tariffs actually affect imports, not exports. I think it affects both, because when it comes to the exports, taxes are high. If you're exporting, of course, you're taking outside products from the United States, the taxes are expensive. If you're bringing in products in the United States, still the tariffs are expensive, taxes are high. So all in all, guys, this is what you voted for, and I guess you guys shouldn't even come on social media crying for other people, because I think there is nothing like help that you guys are going to get. If you knew before, and of which some of these people, I wish they listened to black people when they were telling them, please don't, this and this is gonna happen. I wish they listened. They took black people for granted, and here we go. Guys, I'm not here to criticize anyone. That is their life, but That is what they voted for. Yeah. Otherwise, again, guys, let me know what you think about this video. Let me know if you have enjoyed it. If you've watched it up to this far, I'm thinking you have enjoyed it. Allow me stop from here. I don't know if you've come across these videos yet. And to the people who asked me to create content from our country and also say something about my Airbnb, I think I'm going to be uploading it sooner, but I wanted to upload it to the people who have subscribed to the membership of this channel. Now let me wait for like maybe 3 people to subscribe. That's when I'll upload it. If I still have 1 person who has subscribed, because how sure am I that you guys are even serious that you're going to be booking your stay with me in Uganda? I don't know. So unless you go ahead and subscribe to this channel's membership, that's when I'll go ahead and upload my Airbnb, and that video will be watched by only the people who subscribe to this channel. I hope that makes sense. Otherwise, allow me stop here. Have a lovely night. Bye bye.